I was practically vibrating with excitement as I rolled my suitcase through the automatic doors of the terminal. The familiar airport sounds washed over me, announcements echoing overhead, the hum of countless conversations, the rhythmic click of my best friend's heels beside me. "We're really doing this," I breathed, unable to stop smiling. "I still can't believe it." Sarah squeezed my arm, her perfectly manicured nails digging in just a little too hard. "Believe it, Isla. 2 weeks in Bali. It's happening." I'd dreamed of this trip for years, had the Pinterest board to prove it. Sunrise yoga, overlooking rice terraces, swimming in hidden waterfalls, learning to surf on beaches with sand like powdered sugar. When Sarah suggested we finally make it happen for my 32nd birthday, I'd nearly cried. "The resort confirmed our oceanfront villa," I said, pulling up the email on my phone, "and I got us spots in that cooking class I told you about." Sarah nodded, but her eyes were scanning the departure board. Something about her seemed off, a tightness around her mouth maybe, but I brushed it aside. Pre-flight jitters. I had them too. We joined the check-in line, and I dug out our reservation details. 6 months of overtime shifts at the design agency had made this possible. 6 months of saying no to happy hours and new clothes and anything that wasn't absolutely necessary. "Passport?" I asked, holding out my hand. Sarah's smile shifted into something I couldn't quite read. "I've got mine. You have yours?" "Of course." I patted my crossbody bag. "I've been sleeping with it under my pillow for the past week." The line moved quickly. When we reached the counter, the attendant greeted us with practiced cheerfulness. "Good morning. Where are you ladies headed today?" "Bali," I said, unable to keep the excitement from my voice. "Connecting through Singapore." "Perfect. May I see your passports and booking confirmation?" I handed over my passport and pulled up the confirmation email on my phone. It should be under both our names, Isla Bennett and Sarah Thornton. The attendant's fingers clicked across the keyboard. Her brow furrowed slightly. "I'm only seeing one reservation under Bennett." "That's impossible," I laughed nervously. "We booked together, 2 tickets." "Actually," Sarah said beside me, her voice suddenly cool and distant, "there's only 1 ticket. For me." I turned to her, certain I'd misheard. "What?" Sarah's smile didn't reach her eyes. "I'm going to Bali. You're not." The ground seemed to tilt beneath me. "Is this a joke?" "Your confirmation email," the attendant prompted gently, looking uncomfortable. With trembling fingers, I forwarded it to her. She studied it, then looked up with genuine sympathy. "I'm sorry, but this reservation is only for Ms. Thornton. Your name isn't on the booking." "That's not possible," I whispered. "I paid for both tickets. We planned this together." Sarah shrugged, adjusting her designer sunglasses. "I changed the reservation last week, kept my ticket, cancelled yours, and got a nice little refund to spend on upgrades." The line behind us was growing restless. My throat closed up as humiliation burned through me. "Why would you do this?" "Because I deserve this trip more than you do." She leaned closer, dropping her voice. "And honestly, Isla, no one wants to travel with someone who plans every minute like it's a military operation. 2 weeks of your spreadsheets and checklists? No thanks." My vision blurred. "But it's my birthday trip, my dream destination. And now it's mine." She handed her passport to the attendant. "Just the 1 ticket, please." I stood frozen as Sarah completed her check-in, unable to process what was happening. 20 years of friendship, and she was stealing my dream trip without a flicker of remorse. "Your boarding pass, Ms. Thornton," the attendant said, her eyes darting uncomfortably between us. "Gate 32B." Sarah took it with a smile. "Thanks so much." She turned to me, her expression almost pitying. "Don't wait around, Isla. Security takes forever on Saturdays." "You can't do this," I said, finding my voice at last. "The resort, the excursions, I paid for everything. And I've got all the confirmation numbers." She patted her phone. "Already changed the names. Amazing what you can do with a quick phone call and a little charm." The people behind us were openly staring now. I felt myself shrinking, becoming smaller with each passing second. "Why? I asked, my voice cracking. We've been friends since we were 12. Something flickered across Sarah's face. Not guilt, but something harder. Because you always get everything, Isla. The job I wanted, the guy I liked, everyone's attention. It's my turn now. She grabbed her suitcase handle, the same one I'd helped her pick out for this trip. Don't call me while I'm gone. I'll be too busy enjoying your birthday present to myself. I watched her walk away, my dream destination tucked neatly in her back pocket. At the security line, she turned and waved, a queen bestowing one final acknowledgement on a subject no longer worthy of her attention. And as the realization of what had just happened crashed over me in waves, one thought crystallized through the shock and betrayal. Sarah Thornton had no idea what she'd just started. I don't remember leaving the airport. Somehow I ended up in my apartment, still wearing my travel clothes, a half-packed suitcase mocking me from the corner of my bedroom. The walls felt too close, the air too thick. My phone buzzed for the 20th time. Cadence. I'd been ignoring her calls since the airport, but she wasn't giving up. When it rang again, I finally answered. Isla, thank God, are you okay? What happened? I opened my mouth to explain, but all that came out was a strangled sob. I'm coming over, she said immediately. Don't move. 30 minutes later, Cadence was sitting cross-legged on my bed, her face a mask of disbelief as I finished recounting what happened. That absolute witch, she whispered. I knew Sarah could be selfish, but this is another level. I pulled my knees to my chest. I keep thinking I must have done something to deserve this. Stop that right now. Cadence's voice was firm. You didn't deserve any of this. Sarah is just... She paused, searching for words. She's always been jealous of you, Isla, even back in college. Jealous of what? I gestured around my modest apartment. I'm not the one with the fancy job and the trust fund. Cadence gave me a look. You're talented. People genuinely like you. You work hard for everything you have. She reached for my hand. Sarah's had everything handed to her, and she's still miserable. I pulled away, standing to pace the small room. Well, now she has my dream vacation too. My phone pinged with a notification. An Instagram post from Sarah. My stomach lurched as I opened it. There she was, champagne glass in hand, posing in business class. The caption read, "Sometimes you have to treat yourself. Solo adventure begins. Treaty or self are deserved. It. I threw my phone onto the bed. She's already posting about it. Cadence picked up my phone, her expression darkening as she scrolled. She's using your itinerary. Look, she's even tagged that cooking school you booked. Something cold and hard formed in my chest. Check my email. What? My email. Now. Cadence looked confused but handed me my phone. I pulled up my banking app instead, logging in with shaking fingers. Oh my God, I whispered. What is it? I turned the screen toward her. $3,000, charged to my credit card yesterday. I scrolled through the transactions. Resort upgrades, spa packages, a private tour. She has your credit card information? Cadence asked, horrified. We booked everything together. I saved my card to the travel account. I pressed my palms against my eyes. I'm such an idiot. You're not an idiot. You trusted your best friend. Cadence took the phone, examining the charges. This is theft, Isla. You need to call the credit card company and the police. I laughed bitterly. And say what? That I willingly gave her access to book our trip, that I have no proof she wasn't authorized to make these charges. My phone rang again. Wyatt. I'd completely forgotten we had plans tonight. Are you going to answer that? Cadence asked. I shook my head. I can't talk to him right now. Why not? Wyatt would want to know what happened. Because it's humiliating, I snapped, then immediately regretted it. Sorry, it's just... He warned me about Sarah. Said she was using me. And you didn't believe him? She was my best friend since middle school. Of course I defended her. I sank back onto the bed. Now I look like a complete fool. My phone buzzed with a text from Wyatt. Everything okay? I'm outside your building. Cadence read it over my shoulder. Let him come up. You need all the support you can get right now." 10 minutes later, Wyatt was standing in my living room, his expression shifting from concern to anger as Cadence filled him in. "I'll pay for your ticket," he said immediately. "We can get you on the next flight." "It's not just about the money," I said quietly. "She took everything, the reservations, the bookings, she even changed the names. Then we'll make new reservations." "With what?" "She maxed out my credit card." I looked away, shame burning my cheeks. Besides, showing up there would just make me look desperate. Wyatt sat beside me, his voice gentle. "What do you want to do then?" The question hung in the air. What did I want? Part of me wanted to curl up and disappear. Another part wanted to fly to Bali just to push Sarah into the ocean. "I want her to feel what I'm feeling right now," I said finally. "I want her to understand what it's like to have everything taken away by someone you trusted." Cadence and Wyatt exchanged glances. "Isla," Cadence started carefully, "revenge isn't going to make you feel better. Neither is sitting here crying." I stood up, something shifting inside me. "She thinks she can just take what's mine and there won't be consequences." "What are you thinking?" Wyatt asked, watching me closely. I walked to my desk, pulling out my laptop. "Sarah doesn't know that I know about the credit card charges yet. She thinks I'm just going to accept what happened and move on." "And you're not?" Cadence asked. I opened my email, finding the message from Victoria I'd been ignoring for weeks. Victoria, who worked at Sarah's company. Victoria, who'd been trying to get me to design her website for free. "No," I said, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. "I'm going to make sure she regrets ever crossing me." I hit reply, a plan already forming in my mind. Sarah had taken my dream vacation, but she'd left something far more valuable behind. Her reputation. And I knew exactly how to dismantle it, piece by carefully constructed piece. Rain pelted my windows as I hunched over my laptop, the glow of the screen the only light in my apartment. 3 days had passed since the airport and I'd barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Sarah's smug face as she walked away with my dream. My phone lit up with another Instagram notification, Sarah lounging on a beach that should have been beneath my feet. 47 likes already. I scrolled through the comments. "Living your best life, girl." "So jealous. You deserve this." "Solo travel queen." My fingers tightened around my phone. If they only knew. A knock at my door startled me. I wasn't expecting anyone, especially not at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. Through the peephole, I saw Victoria shifting nervously in the hallway. I opened the door but blocked the entrance. "Victoria, what are you doing here?" She looked different from her usual polished self. Hair pulled back messily, no makeup, eyes slightly red. "Your email said to come by if I wanted to discuss the website. I was in the neighborhood, so—" "At 10 at night?" She glanced down. "I just left work. The quarterly reports are due and—" She stopped herself. "Can I come in, please?" Against my better judgment, I stepped aside. Victoria had been Sarah's colleague for years. They weren't close friends, but they ran in the same circles. I needed information, and she might have it. "Coffee?" I offered, mostly out of habit. "Got anything stronger?" I poured us each a glass of wine. Victoria took a large sip immediately, then set it down with a sigh. "I heard what Sarah did," she said without preamble. "It's all over the office." My stomach dropped. "What?" She's been bragging about it, saying how she upgraded her vacation by ditching dead weight. Victoria's expression was a mix of disgust and pity. "I couldn't believe it. That's why I came tonight. I wanted you to know I think it's horrible." I sank onto my couch, humiliation washing over me anew. Great. So everyone knows I'm the pathetic friend who got left behind. "Not everyone sees it that way," Victoria said carefully. "Some people are questioning why they ever liked Sarah in the first place." I studied her face, looking for signs of deception. Victoria and I had never been close. She'd always seemed to value her connection to Sarah more than anything. "Why are you really here, Victoria?" She fidgeted with her wine glass. "I need that website. My side business is the only thing keeping me afloat right now." And? She hesitated. Sarah's been taking credit for my work for the past year. The promotion she got last month. That was based on my marketing strategy. Now we were getting somewhere. Why didn't you say anything? Because she threatened to tell everyone about my financial problems if I did. Victoria's voice hardened. My parents lost everything in that investment scheme last year. I've been supporting them secretly while maintaining appearances at work. I leaned forward. And Sarah knows this? She found bank statements in my desk when she was borrowing a stapler. Victoria's laugh was bitter. She's been holding it over my head ever since. I took a slow sip of wine, pieces clicking into place. So you came here because I'm done being afraid of her. Victoria met my eyes directly. And I think you are too. For the next hour, Victoria revealed everything she knew about Sarah's life at work. The lies she'd told, the people she'd manipulated, the image she'd carefully constructed. By midnight, my notepad was full, and my plan had evolved from vague revenge fantasies into something concrete. There's one more thing, Victoria said as she prepared to leave. Sarah didn't just take your vacation. She took your designs too. My blood went cold. What designs? The Meridian Hotel project. She showed them to our boss yesterday, claiming they were her concepts for the hotel chain we're pitching to next month. The rooms seemed to tilt. The Meridian designs were my personal portfolio project, concepts I'd been developing for months, hoping to land a contract that could launch my independent career. She stole my work, I whispered, the full weight of the betrayal crashing down anew. Victoria nodded grimly. And she's presenting them to the client on the day she returns. After Victoria left, I sat motionless in my darkened apartment. The rain had stopped, leaving an eerie silence. I opened my laptop again, navigating to my cloud storage. The Meridian folder was empty, all my files deleted. Of course, Sarah would have access. We'd shared accounts for years, trusting each other implicitly. I opened my phone and scrolled to Wyatt's contact. It was nearly 2 a.m., but I pressed call anyway. He answered on the second ring, voice thick with sleep. Isla? What's wrong? Everything, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. But I know what to do now. It's the middle of the night. Can this wait until... She stole my designs, Wyatt. The Meridian project. She's going to present them as her own when she gets back. Silence on the line. Wyatt knew how much that project meant to me. I'll be there in 20 minutes, he said finally. I ended the call and walked to my window looking out at the city lights. For days I'd been drowning in hurt and humiliation. But now something else was taking its place. A cold, clear purpose. Sarah had stolen my vacation, maxed out my credit card, and now taken my work. She thought she knew me, thought I would curl up and take it, nursing my wounds in private. But she'd miscalculated badly. The Isla she left at the airport wasn't the one who would be waiting when she returned. The coffee shop buzzed with morning energy as I claimed a corner table, spreading out my laptop and notes. I'd been here since they opened, running on 3 hours of sleep and determination. My phone vibrated with an incoming call. David, my former boss and mentor. Isla, this is unexpected, he said when I answered. Aren't you supposed to be on a beach somewhere? Change of plans, I replied, keeping my voice neutral. Actually, that's why I'm calling. I need access to the backup server for my old projects. The backup server? He sounded confused. Those files are archived after employees leave. Why do you need them? I gripped my coffee cup tighter. The Meridian Hotel designs. I need to prove they're mine. A pause. Is there a problem I should know about? Sarah took my designs, I said flatly. She's presenting them to Meridian as her own work when she returns from Bali. Bali? I thought you two were going together. David, I cut him off. I need those files. With timestamps. Can you help me or not? His sigh crackled through the phone. Come by the office this afternoon. I'll see what I can do. I ended the call just as Wyatt slid into the seat across from me, setting down a fresh coffee. You look like you haven't slept, he said, studying my face. I haven't much. I pushed my notes toward him. But I've been productive. He scanned the pages, his eyebrows rising. This is thorough. Victoria's been texting me all morning with more details. I pulled up the messages. Sarah's been systematically taking credit for other people's work for years, not just Victoria's. At least 3 other colleagues. Wyatt set down the papers. Isla, I get that you're angry. You have every right to be. But this, he gestured at my notes, this feels like it's becoming an obsession. It's not an obsession. It's justice. Is it? His voice was gentle. Or is it just about making yourself feel better? I stared at him, anger flaring. She stole my money, my vacation, and my work. What would you have me do? Just let her get away with it? Of course not. Report the credit card fraud, talk to her boss about the designs. But this, he tapped my notebook, this elaborate plan to destroy her reputation feels like it's consuming you. You don't understand, I said, closing my laptop. This isn't just about me anymore. She's hurt other people too. I do understand. Wyatt reached for my hand, but I pulled away. I'm worried about what this is doing to you. You're not sleeping. You're cancelling client meetings. I cancelled 1 meeting. And you're pushing away people who care about you. The truth in his words stung. I had been avoiding Cadence's calls, ignoring messages from other friends. Even my sister's check-ins had gone unanswered. I need to do this, I said finally. I need to show her and myself that she can't just walk all over me. Wyatt's expression softened. Then let me help. But promise me you won't lose yourself in this. Before I could respond, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Is this Isla? It's Alea from Brightline Marketing. We need to talk about Sarah. I showed Wyatt the message. Who's Alea? No idea. I typed back quickly. How did you get my number? The response came immediately. Victoria gave it to me. I know what Sarah did to you. She did something similar to me last year. Can we meet? Could be a trap, Wyatt said, reading over my shoulder. Sarah might have put her up to this. Only one way to find out. I suggested meeting at a public cafe across town in an hour. After a moment's hesitation, I added, come alone. The woman who approached my table wasn't what I expected. Alea was striking, with close-cropped hair and an air of quiet confidence. She ordered an espresso before sitting down across from me. Thank you for meeting me, she said. I wasn't sure you would. Victoria vouched for you, said you had history with Sarah. Alea's mouth tightened. That's one way to put it. We worked together at Brightline before she moved to Victoria's company. She sabotaged my major campaign, then took credit when her fixes saved it. Why didn't you expose her? I tried. Alea stirred her espresso, not meeting my eyes. But Sarah had already poisoned the well, made everyone think I was unstable, jealous. By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. Something in her voice resonated with me, the same helpless anger I'd been feeling. What happened? I left, started over somewhere else. She looked up, her gaze direct. But I never stopped keeping tabs on her, waiting for a chance to set things right. I studied her, looking for signs of deception. And you think I'm that chance? I think we can help each other. She pulled out her phone, showing me a private Instagram account. Sarah doesn't know I follow her Finsta, the things she posts about people when she thinks they can't see. She scrolled through screenshots, each more damning than the last. My stomach churned seeing my own name appear in several posts, alongside cruel comments dating back months before our trip. Isla actually thinks we're going to Bali together. Can't wait to see her face when she realizes I'm going solo. Sucker. The post was from 3 weeks ago. She planned this all along, I whispered. Alea nodded grimly. And there's more. She's been documenting everything, the credit card charges, how she accessed your design files. She thinks it's hilarious. I felt sick, but also strangely vindicated. This was proof. Undeniable evidence of premeditation. Why are you showing me this? I asked. What do you want? The same thing you do. For Sarah to face consequences for once in her life. Alea leaned forward. Victoria told me about your plan. It's good, but with my help, it could be bulletproof. And I should trust you because I have nothing to gain except seeing justice served. She held my gaze steadily. And because unlike Sarah, I'm willing to show you all my cards up front. As she laid out what she knew and what she could do to help, I felt the last of my hesitation dissolving. This wasn't just about petty revenge anymore. This was about stopping someone who had hurt too many people for too long. Okay, I said finally. I'm in, but we do this my way. Alea smiled, extending her hand. Partners, then. As we shook on it, I knew there would be no turning back. You're sure these timestamps are accurate? I asked David, scrolling through the file history he'd pulled up on his computer. Down to the second, he pointed to the screen. Every version of the Meridian designs, with your login credentials. The earliest file is from 4 months ago. Relief washed over me. Concrete proof the designs were mine, created long before Sarah ever saw them. I inserted my flash drive, hands steady as I copied everything. Thank you for this, I said, meaning it. I know you didn't have to help. David leaned back in his chair, studying me with concern. Isla, I've known you for what, 5 years now? I've never seen you like this. Like what? Focused on taking someone down? He gestured vaguely. It's not like you. I pocketed the flash drive. Maybe it should be. Maybe if I'd stood up for myself sooner, Sarah wouldn't have felt entitled to take everything from me. Just be careful. Revenge has a way of changing people, rarely for the better. He hesitated. And for what it's worth, I always thought Sarah was riding your coattails, not the other way around. As I left the building, my phone buzzed with a text from Alea. Meeting set with Alexis. 7 p.m. tonight. Alexis, the creative director at Meridian Hotels, the client Sarah was planning to pitch my stolen designs to. My stomach tightened. This was moving faster than I'd anticipated. I texted back. How did you manage that? I have my ways. Wear something impressive. We only get one shot at this. Cadence was waiting outside my apartment, arms crossed. I hadn't returned her calls in days. So, you are alive, she said as I approached. Good to know. I've been busy. I fumbled with my keys, avoiding her eyes. Too busy to respond to, are you okay? Texts. She followed me inside. Wyatt's worried about you. I'm worried about you. I dropped my bag on the counter. I'm fine. Are you? Because the Isla I know doesn't ghost her friends when she's fine. I turned to face her. What do you want me to say, Cadence? That I'm falling apart? That I cry myself to sleep while Sarah posts pictures from my dream vacation? I want you to talk to me. Her voice rose. I'm your friend, Isla. Your actual friend, not whatever Sarah was pretending to be. The accusations stung. I know that. Do you? Because you're shutting out everyone who cares about you to focus on some revenge scheme. It's not a scheme. It's justice. I know. Wyatt told me. She sighed, anger deflating into concern. He also told me about this Alea person. Are you sure you can trust her? I hesitated. It was a question I'd been pushing aside. She has proof Sarah's been planning this for weeks. Screenshots. Messages. And that doesn't seem convenient to you? A stranger appears with exactly what you need? She's not a stranger. She worked with Sarah. So did a lot of people, apparently. Cadence sat on my couch. I'm not saying don't protect yourself. I'm saying be careful who you trust right now. I sank down beside her, suddenly exhausted. I have a meeting with Meridian's creative director tonight. Alea arranged it. And what happens if Sarah finds out? The question hung in the air. I hadn't considered that possibility. She's still in Bali, I said finally. She won't know. Unless someone tells her. Cadence's expression was serious. You said yourself Sarah has people everywhere. What if Alea is one of them? A chill ran through me. What if this was another trap? What if I was walking right into it? I have to take that chance, I said, more to convince myself than Cadence. This meeting might be my only opportunity to protect my work. Cadence took my hand. Then let me come with you. as backup. For the first time in days, I felt the knot in my chest loosen slightly. Okay. The restaurant was upscale but not pretentious, all warm lighting and muted conversations. Alea was already at the table when we arrived, looking polished in a tailored blazer. Her eyes narrowed slightly at the sight of Cadence. "I thought you were coming alone," she said as we sat down. "Change of plans," I replied evenly. "Cadence is my moral support." "And bullshit detector," Cadence added with a sweet smile. Tension crackled between them as a waiter brought water to the table. "Alexis will be here in 10 minutes, Alea said, checking her watch. "We should go over the approach one more time." I pulled out my flash drive. I have the time-stamped files proving the designs are mine. All I need is 5 minutes to show her. "It's not that simple." Alea leaned forward, lowering her voice. "Alexis and Sarah have history. They worked together years ago." My stomach dropped. "You didn't mention that before." "Because I just found out. Apparently they're still friendly." She glanced toward the door. "Which means you can't just accuse Sarah of theft. Alexis will get defensive. So what do I do? Present the designs as your own work. Don't mention Sarah at all." Alea's expression was intent. "Once Alexis falls in love with the concept, then we reveal Sarah was planning to pass them off as hers." It made sense, but something felt off. I exchanged glances with Cadence, who gave a subtle shake of her head. "Why didn't you tell me about their connection sooner?" I asked. "I told you as soon as I knew." Alea's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then abruptly stood. "I need to make a quick call before Alexis arrives, 2 minutes." As she walked away, Cadence immediately leaned in. "I don't trust her. This feels wrong." "I know." I watched Alea through the window, phone pressed to her ear, gesturing emphatically. "But what choice do I have? We could leave, right now." I considered it. Walk away, find another approach. But then what? Let Sarah present my designs as her own. Let her win again. "No," I said firmly. "I'm staying, but I'm doing this my way." When Alea returned, her energy had shifted. A new tension in her shoulders, a tightness around her eyes. "Change of plans," she said, not quite meeting my gaze. "Alexis can't make it, but she sent her assistant to review the preliminary designs." Cadence's hand found mine under the table, squeezing in, warning. "That's disappointing," I said carefully. "What's the assistant's name?" Alea hesitated a fraction too long. "Victoria?" The same Victoria who'd been feeding me information, who supposedly hated Sarah. "Victoria works for Meridian now." I kept my voice neutral. "Recently hired. Didn't she tell you?" Before I could respond, the restaurant door opened. But it wasn't Victoria who walked in. It was Sarah. Time seemed to stop. Sarah stood in the doorway, her tan glowing under the restaurant lights, wearing a dress I recognized, one I'd helped her pick for our trip. Her eyes locked with mine, and her surprise looked almost genuine. "Isla?" She glanced between me, Cadence, and Alea. "What are you doing here?" My throat closed. She was supposed to be in Bali for another week. This wasn't possible. Alea stood, smoothing her blazer. "Sarah, what a surprise. I thought you were still on vacation." The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. This wasn't a coincidence. This was a setup. "You planned this," I said to Ala, my voice barely audible. Sarah approached our table, confusion playing across her features. "Planned what?" "Ala texted me that she was meeting with Alexis from Meridian and thought I should join. Something about my pitch next week." Cadence's grip tightened on my arm. "We're leaving," she whispered, but I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't process the magnitude of this betrayal. "You two know each other?" Sarah asked, gesturing between me and Alea. "We just met recently," Alea replied smoothly. "After she reached out about some concerns." Sarah's expression hardened almost imperceptibly. "Concerns?" I found my voice at last. "Why are you back early?" "Food poisoning," Sarah said, touching her stomach delicately. "Cut the trip short. Not that you'd care, considering you've apparently been busy trying to sabotage my career." The casual cruelty, the effortless lie, It was so perfectly Sarah that something inside me snapped. Your career? I stood, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. You mean the one you're building with my stolen designs? Sarah's eyes widened in practiced innocence. What are you talking about? The Meridian Hotel designs. My designs. The ones you took from my cloud storage. Those are my concepts, she said, her voice carrying just enough for nearby tables to hear. I've been working on them for months. Liar. I pulled out the flash drive. I have proof. Time-stamped files showing I created them. Isla, Alea interrupted, her voice low with warning. This isn't the place. No, let's hear it, Sarah said, crossing her arms. Let's hear how I supposedly stole designs for a pitch I've been preparing since before you even left the company. I turned to Alea. Show her the screenshots, the ones from her private Instagram where she admitted stealing my work. Alea's expression remained carefully blank. I don't know what you're talking about. The final betrayal hit like a physical blow. Alea had never been on my side. This whole thing, the meeting, the evidence, everything, had been orchestrated to make me look unhinged. Cadence stood beside me. We have the proof at home. We can get it. There is no proof, Sarah said, her voice dripping with pity. Isla's been struggling since I decided to take our trip solo. Making up stories, apparently. The restaurant had gone quiet, other diners openly watching now. Humiliation burned through me, followed by a wave of helpless rage. You stole my money, I said, my voice shaking. Thousands of dollars on my credit card. Money you agreed to spend on our trip, Sarah countered smoothly. Not my fault you decided not to come. I didn't decide anything. You left me at the airport. After you showed up late and missed our flight, Sarah said, her lie so confident it made me dizzy. I waited as long as I could. That's not what happened, Cadence interjected. Isla has the original booking confirmation, showing you changed it. I changed it because she wasn't answering her phone that morning, Sarah replied without missing a beat. I was trying to save at least my portion of the trip. It was masterful, the way she twisted everything, creating a reality where I was the villain, the unstable friend, the one who couldn't be trusted. And people were believing her. I could see it in the pitying glances from nearby tables. Come on, Cadence murmured, tugging my arm. This is exactly what they wanted. I let her pull me away, my legs moving mechanically. As we passed Sarah, she leaned in close. You should have just stayed down, she whispered. Now I'll have to finish what I started. Outside, the night air hit me like a slap. I bent over, hands on my knees, struggling to breathe. She planned this, I gasped. All of it. And Allah was working with her the whole time, Cadence finished, flagging down a taxi. Victoria too, probably. The betrayal was so complete, so perfectly executed, that a strange calm began to settle over me. They wanted me to look crazy, to discredit me before I could expose Sarah. And it almost worked. Cadence guided me into the taxi. But we're not done yet. Back at my apartment, I sat motionless on the couch while Cadence made tea. My phone buzzed with a text from Wyatt. Are you okay? Victoria just called me about some scene at a restaurant. Of course. Victoria was part of it too. The whole thing had been an elaborate trap, designed to isolate me from everyone who might believe me. Don't answer that, Cadence said, setting down the tea. Not until we figure out who we can trust. I don't think we can trust anyone. I stared at my hands, still trembling slightly. Sarah's been planning this for months. She has everyone convinced I'm falling apart. Not everyone. Cadence sat beside me. I believe you. Wyatt will too once we explain. Will he? Victoria's already gotten to him. My phone rang, Wyatt calling now. I let it go to voicemail. What do we do? I asked, feeling more lost than ever. Cadence was quiet for a moment. We need leverage. Something they don't expect. I thought about the flash drive in my pocket. The time-stamped files were real, but without context, they weren't enough. I needed more. My gaze drifted to my laptop and suddenly I remembered something. Something important. The cloud backup, I said, sitting up straight. Sarah deleted my files, but she doesn't know about my automatic backups. What backups? After we had that server crash at work last year, I started backing up everything to a separate account, one Sarah doesn't know about. I grabbed my laptop, fingers flying over the keyboard, including our text conversations, every message where we discussed the trip, the bookings, everything. Hope flickered as the files appeared on my screen. There it was, the entire history of Sarah's deception, preserved in her own words. "This changes everything," Cadence said, looking over my shoulder. I nodded, a new resolve hardening inside me. Sarah thinks she won tonight, but she just showed me exactly what I'm up against. And for the first time since this began, I knew exactly how to fight back. The reunion party hummed with energy, voices and laughter spilling out onto the hotel rooftop terrace. I stood in the entrance, scanning the crowd. 3 days of preparation had led to this moment, and my hands trembled slightly despite my calm exterior. "You sure you're ready for this?" Cadence asked beside me, her voice barely audible over the music. I nodded, adjusting the strap of my bag. More than ready. We'd been strategic, waiting for the perfect opportunity. This annual gathering of former colleagues was it. A public setting with witnesses Sarah couldn't control. People who knew both of us. People whose opinions mattered to her. I spotted her across the terrace holding court in a circle of admirers, champagne glass in hand. She hadn't noticed me yet. "Remember the plan," Cadence murmured. "Stay calm, no matter what she says." "I know." I took a deep breath. "Is Wyatt here?" "By the bar. He's got everything ready." After that night at the restaurant, I'd finally called Wyatt, explaining everything. His anger wasn't directed at me, but at himself, for not seeing through Victoria's manipulation when she'd called him. He'd been my rock ever since, helping piece together the evidence, connecting dots I'd missed. I moved through the crowd, accepting greetings with brief smiles, keeping Sarah in my peripheral vision. David nodded to me from across the room. Another ally in place. Everything was set. When I reached the bar, Wyatt handed me a glass of water that looked like vodka. "You okay?" "I will be." I took a sip, the cold liquid steadying me. "Is the presentation ready?" He patted his jacket pocket. "Queued up and ready to go." I'd rehearsed this moment countless times in my head, but now that it was here, doubt crept in. What if Sarah outmaneuvered me again? What if people chose to believe her version, no matter what evidence I presented? "Stop," Wyatt said gently, reading my expression. "You've got this. The truth is on your side." Before I could respond, a familiar voice cut through the ambient noise. "Isla, you actually came." Sarah approached, her smile not reaching her eyes. "I'm surprised after your episode at the restaurant." Several heads turned our way. This was it, the opening I needed. "I wouldn't miss it," I said, matching her smile, "especially since I have something to share with everyone." Wariness flickered across her face. "Oh? My Bali photos. Everyone's been asking about our trip." I raised my voice slightly, drawing more attention. "Though I guess they're just your photos now, aren't they?" Sarah's smile tightened. "Isla, maybe we should talk privately." "Why?" "I thought you wanted everyone to know how you upgraded your vacation by ditching dead weight. Isn't that what you told people at the office?" The crowd around us had grown quiet, sensing the tension. "You're clearly still upset," Sarah said, her voice dripping with practiced concern. "I understand, but this isn't the place." "Actually, it's the perfect place." I set down my glass. "Because everyone here deserves to know who you really are." Sarah's eyes darted around, assessing the audience. I could almost see her calculating her next move. "If you're going to make accusations, you should be careful," she said, voice low with warning. "People might question who's really being honest here. That's exactly what I'm counting on." I nodded to Wyatt, who moved toward the small stage where a projector had been set up for anniversary announcements. Sarah's composure slipped for just a moment. "What are you doing?" "Showing everyone the truth, with evidence." I stepped closer, keeping my voice private. "Did you really think I wouldn't have backups of everything? Every text, every email, every Instagram post where you bragged about stealing my trip?" The color drained from her face. You're bluffing. Am I? I smiled. You know what your mistake was, Sarah? You thought I was weak, that I'd just accept what you did and crawl away. But you taught me something important. How to fight back. The lights dimmed slightly as Wyatt connected his laptop to the projector. A murmur ran through the crowd. Don't do this, Sarah hissed, grabbing my arm. I'll tell everyone you fabricated everything. I gently removed her hand. You can try, but timestamps don't lie. Neither do bank records or your own messages. David stepped up to the microphone. If I could have everyone's attention for a special presentation. Sarah's eyes widened with panic. I'll ruin you. You already tried. I moved past her toward the stage. Now it's my turn. The room fell silent as I took the microphone, heart pounding but voice steady. Many of you have asked about my trip to Bali with Sarah. The truth is, I never made it there. I paused, looking directly at her. And I'd like to show you why. The first slide appeared, my original booking confirmation for 2 people, followed by the altered version with only Sarah's name. Then came the credit card statements showing thousands in unauthorized charges. With each new piece of evidence, the room's energy shifted, murmurs of disbelief growing louder. I continued methodically, my voice gaining strength. Sarah also took my design portfolio, work I spent months creating. The Meridian Hotel designs appeared on screen alongside the time-stamped file history David had helped me recover. She planned to present these as her own to Meridian Hotels next week, I said, after stealing them from my cloud storage. From the corner of my eye, I saw Victoria slip quietly toward the exit. Several people were staring at Sarah now, whose face had hardened into a mask of fury. The final slides were the most damning, screenshots of Sarah's private Instagram posts, recovered with help from a former colleague who'd maintained access. Taking Isla's dream vacation while she cries at the airport, costs priceless. Used her credit card to upgrade to first class. She's too trusting for her own good. Can't wait to present my designs to Meridian. Isla did all the work and I get all the credit. A shocked silence fell over the room as the last image faded. I set down the microphone, my point made. Sarah surged forward, her composure completely shattered. These are fake! She's manipulated everything because she's jealous of my success. No one was looking at her with sympathy anymore. David stepped forward, his voice carrying across the room. The file timestamps are from our company's secure server, Sarah. They can't be altered. Alexis from Meridian, the real Alexis, emerged from the crowd. I've seen enough. Our meeting next week is cancelled. Sarah's face contorted with rage. You can't do this to me. I've worked too hard. You haven't worked at all, I interrupted quietly. You've stolen other people's work. Mine, Victoria's, probably others. And now everyone knows. As the reality of her situation sank in, Sarah's mask crumbled completely. You think this makes you strong? She spat. You're still the same pathetic, desperate Isla who would do anything to be liked. I met her gaze steadily. Maybe I was, but not anymore. And as she stormed out, followed by whispers and stares, I felt the weight of the past weeks finally begin to lift. The rooftop had mostly cleared, leaving behind empty glasses and the fading energy of confrontation. I stood at the edge, looking out over the city lights, letting the cool night air wash over me. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving me hollow but somehow lighter. There you are. Cadence appeared beside me, 2 glasses of actual champagne in hand. Thought you might need this. I accepted the glass, taking a small sip. Thanks. For everything. Are you okay? She leaned against the railing. That was intense. I'm not sure yet. I swirled the champagne, watching the bubbles rise. It doesn't feel like I thought it would. What did you think it would feel like? Triumphant. Satisfying. I shrugged. But it just feels quiet. Wyatt joined us, his tie loosened, looking relieved. Alexis wants to meet with you tomorrow about the Meridian project. Said she was impressed by your designs and your integrity. A small spark of pleasure broke through the numbness. Really? Really? He hesitated. Sarah's gone. Victoria too. David's telling everyone they should check their work to make sure nothing else was stolen. I nodded, unsurprised. Has anyone heard from Alea? Disappeared completely, Cadence said. Deleted her social media accounts this morning, almost like she knew what was coming. Something about that bothered me, but I couldn't place why. Before I could pursue the thought, David approached, looking slightly uncomfortable. Isla, there's someone who wants to speak with you. He gestured toward the bar where a woman waited, her posture rigid with tension. She says it's important. I recognized her immediately, the real Alea. Not the woman who had met me at the cafe, but the one from the photos I'd found during my research. The actual former colleague Sarah had sabotaged. I'll be right back, I told Cadence and Wyatt, setting down my glass. As I approached, Alea straightened, her expression guarded. You're Isla. And you're the real Alea. She nodded, a flicker of surprise crossing her face. You knew? Not until recently. I sat on the bar stool beside her. The woman who approached me claiming to be you, who was she? Sarah's cousin. They look nothing alike, but they've been running this con for years. Alea's fingers tapped nervously on her glass. I only found out about tonight because a former colleague called me, asking if I was really helping you expose Sarah. The pieces clicked into place. So you never worked with Victoria? I've never even met her. Alea met my gaze directly. But I've been tracking Sarah ever since she destroyed my career. Collecting evidence, building a case. Why didn't you come forward sooner? Because no one would believe just me. Sarah made sure of that. A hint of admiration crept into her voice. But you did what I couldn't. You got people to listen. She reached into her bag, pulling out a flash drive. This has everything I've collected over the past 2 years. Financial records showing Sarah's been embezzling from the company. Emails where she takes credit for other people's work. It's all there. I stared at the drive, not reaching for it. Why give this to me now? Because you've already done the hard part, cracking her image. This will make sure she can't just move to another company and start over. Alea pushed it toward me. And because I think you'll actually use it. I picked up the drive, turning it over in my fingers. What do you get out of this? The same thing you do. Closure. She stood, gathering her things, and the satisfaction of knowing she can't hurt anyone else. After Alia left, I rejoined Cadence and Wyatt, the flash drive heavy in my pocket. What did she want? Cadence asked. I explained briefly, watching their expressions shift from surprise to understanding. Are you going to use it? Wyatt asked. The question hung in the air. A week ago, I would have said yes without hesitation. The chance to completely destroy Sarah, to make her pay for everything, it would have felt like justice. Now, I wasn't so sure. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to, but another part wants to move on, Cadence finished for me. I nodded, surprised by the realization. Is that wrong? After everything she did? There's no right answer, Wyatt said gently. Only what feels right to you. We fell silent. The city spread out below us. Countless lives and stories unfolding in windows of light. My phone buzzed with a text. An airline notification. Your flight to Bali departs tomorrow at 10:45 a.m. Check-in opens in 12 hours. I stared at it, confused. I didn't book a flight to Bali. We did, Cadence said, smiling slightly. Well, Wyatt did most of it. I helped with the itinerary. You're going to that cooking class, Wyatt added, and the sunrise yoga and whatever else was on that Pinterest board of yours. Emotion welled up, threatening to overflow. I can't just leave. The Meridian meeting is in 3 weeks, Wyatt said. Plenty of time for you to have your dream vacation first. We use the refunded charges from your credit card, Cadence explained. Plus, a little extra from those of us who believe in karma. I looked between them. These true friends who had stood by me through everything. I don't know what to say. Say you'll go, Wyatt urged. Say you'll reclaim what was taken from you. I thought about Sarah, about revenge and justice and moving forward, about the flash drive in my pocket and the choice it represented. I'll go, I said finally. But first, there's something I need to do. The next morning, I mailed the flash drive, not to the police or to Sarah's company, but to a security deposit box with instructions to hold it for 1 year. Long enough for me to decide what kind of person I wanted to be. Long enough to ensure the choice was mine, not made in the heat of emotion. As the plane lifted off, I watched the city shrink beneath me, feeling neither triumphant nor defeated, just free. Sarah had taken my trip, my money, my designs. But in fighting to get them back, I'd found something more valuable. My own strength, my true friends, and the knowledge that some things can't be stolen, no matter how hard someone tries. I opened my journal to a blank page and began to write, not about what I'd lost, but about everything I'd found along the way.
Hey there, I'm Adalia. At 28, 3 years into what was supposed to be my dream job at my husband's family construction business, I'd come to realize that dream might have been a stretch. Every day felt like a new battle, and not the kind I'd ever anticipated. How was your day? Mark, my husband, asked, looking up from the kitchen as I dropped my briefcase by the door. I sighed. Same as always. Your dad's still giving me a hard time about the new accounting software. Mark frowned, a familiar crease forming between his brows. He's just set in his ways. Give him time. Time, that's all I've been giving. But Victor, my father-in-law, the CEO and self-proclaimed expert in how things have always been done, wasn't budging. Sure, the company was financially stable, but operationally, it was stuck in the Stone Age. You wouldn't believe what happened today. I flopped onto the couch beside Mark. I suggested we digitize the bidding process, and Victor looked at me like I'd suggested tearing down the office walls. Mark chuckled. That's dad for you. But I wasn't laughing. The next day, I ran into Emma, my sister-in-law, who, despite our differences, was the only one who truly got what I was going through. How's the modernization crusade? She whispered, leaning on my desk. About as effective as teaching a cat to swim, I replied, rolling my eyes. Just then, Robert, my cousin-in-law and the resident brown-noser, sauntered by. Hey, Adalia, heard you're trying to reinvent the wheel again. Why fix what isn't broken, right? I bit my tongue, holding back what I really wanted to say. If only he knew how unbroken things actually were. Later, that week, we had a company golf outing. I thought maybe, just maybe, a more relaxed setting would make Victor more receptive to my ideas. I couldn't have been more wrong. Victor, I began as we walked to the 9th hole. I've been thinking about our bidding process. If we could just... He cut me off, his voice sharp. Adalia, we've been doing just fine for 30 years. We don't need your newfangled ideas. But if we could just look at... Enough, he bellowed, loud enough for everyone on the course to turn and stare. You think you can waltz in here and change everything. You don't know the first thing about running a real business. I stood there, golf club in hand, my face burning with humiliation as Mark avoided my gaze, choosing instead to stare at the ground. That night, I tossed and turned, reliving every excruciating second. You okay? Mark mumbled, half asleep beside me. Yeah, I lied, staring at the ceiling. Just thinking about work. But lying there in the dark, I realized this went beyond simple resistance to change. Something was wrong, and I was going to find out what it was. Little did I know, I was about to uncover more than I'd bargained for. The weeks after the golf incident were tense. I felt eyes on me everywhere in the office. One morning, as I passed the water cooler, I overheard Robert murmuring to a group of colleagues. I'm just saying, it's weird how she's always poking around in the old files. What's she looking for, anyway? I clenched my jaw and walked by, pretending I hadn't heard, but his words wouldn't leave my mind. That afternoon, I made a decision. I was going to dig deeper into those old files. What I found made my stomach lurch. Mark, you need to see this, I said that night, spreading out the papers across our dining table. There are huge discrepancies in the company's finances from before I started working here. Mark barely looked up from his phone. I'm sure it's just a clerical error, babe. Don't stress over it. This isn't a simple error, Mark. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars unaccounted for. He sighed, finally meeting my gaze. Adalia, please just let it go. You're already on thin ice with Dad. I couldn't believe it. So you want me to ignore potential fraud? That's not what I'm saying, he muttered, looking away. Just, Be careful, okay? The next day, Victor cornered me in my office. I hear you've been asking questions about our old records. I was just double-checking some figures, making sure everything matches up. Your job, he snapped, is to manage current finances, not dig up the past. Stick to your own work. From that day on, Victor's hostility escalated. He demanded hourly updates, questioned every decision I made, and started CCing Robert on all our email exchanges. Then, one evening as I was working late, as Victor's raised voice cut through the walls of his office, I crept closer, curiosity getting the best of me. You promised this wouldn't be traced back to us, he hissed, each word dripping with tension. My heart raced. Missing funds? This was bigger than I'd ever suspected, and I knew I couldn't face it alone. The next day, I found Emma in the break room. Em, I need a favor, I said, my voice low. Can you help me access some of the really old financial records? She raised an eyebrow, glancing around. The ones in the storage room. Why? I can't explain right now, but it's important. Please. She hesitated, then nodded. Okay, but be careful. Dad's been on the warpath. Later that week, we gathered for a family dinner at Victor and Martha's house. The tension was thick, and Victor's glares kept landing on me. Finally, he slammed his fork down, making everyone jump. I can't take this anymore, Adelia. What's your endgame here? Excuse me, I asked, taken aback. Don't play dumb, he snapped. The questions, the snooping. Are you trying to take over my company? The room fell silent, everyone watching me. I glanced at Mark, hoping for support, but he just stared at his plate. Victor, I'm just trying to do my job, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Your job? He scoffed. Your job is whatever I say it is, you ungrateful. Dad, that's enough, Emma cut in, but the damage was done. The car ride home with Mark was silent, each second thick with words left unsaid. Finally, I whispered, you could have said something. Mark gripped the steering wheel tighter. What did you want me to say, Adelia? You're the one stirring up trouble. In that moment, I knew I was on my own, but I wasn't backing down. There was something rotten in that company, and I was going to expose it, no matter the cost. A few nights later, Emma and I sat huddled around my laptop, her face pale in the dim light. This is insane, she whispered. How did they think they'd get away with this? They almost did, I replied, but not anymore. Days turned into nights as I compiled evidence, triple-checking every detail. By Friday, I had a report so solid it could withstand a hurricane. I arrived at the office early, gripping my presentation folder, heart pounding. As I got out of my car, the sound of clinking golf clubs made me freeze. Victor stood there, a dark glint in his eye. Going somewhere important, Adelia, he sneered, tapping a golf club against his palm. Victor, save it, he spat. You think I don't know what you've been up to? Digging around in things that don't concern you? You've got it all wrong. If you just let me explain. Explain, he roared, his face turning a shade of red I'd never seen before. Explain how you're embezzling from my company. What? No, that's not. But before I could finish, he lunged at me, swinging the golf club with alarming speed. I ducked, heart pounding, and stumbled back. You ungrateful little thief, he bellowed, swinging wildly as I scrambled across the parking lot, his shafts echoing behind me. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw office windows fill with faces, some even holding up phones to record. Help, I screamed, narrowly dodging another swing. Somebody stop him. Finally, 2 security guards rushed forward, pulling Victor back as I collapsed against a parked car, gasping for breath. This isn't over, he shouted as they dragged him away. You're finished in this town, Adelia. Shaking, I did the only thing I could think of. I called Emma. I'll be right there, she said, her voice tight with concern. An hour later, I sat in Emma's living room, a cup of tea growing cold in my hands as I recounted everything. He's lost his mind, she murmured, shaking her head. We need to go to the police. Just then my phone buzzed. It was Mark. Adelia, where are you? Dad told me what happened. How could you do this to us? My blood ran cold. Mark, you can't seriously believe. I don't know what to believe anymore. He cut me off. But I think it's best if you don't come home tonight, or for a while. The line went dead, and I stared at the phone, disbelief giving way to hot, steaming tears. He believes them, I whispered, my voice breaking. After everything, he still believes them over me. Emma wrapped an arm around my shoulders. I'm so sorry, Adelia. What are you going to do? I wiped my tears, a fire igniting in my chest. I'm going to fight back. I straightened, my voice stronger than I felt. I'm going to clear my name and make them pay for every lie, every stolen dollar, and every moment of pain they've caused. Emma squeezed my hand, her steady presence grounding me, and I'll be right there with you. With Emma's support, I hired a top-notch forensic accountant to validate my findings. When he confirmed everything, I knew it was time to act. I sent an anonymous tip to both the IRS and the FBI, alerting them to the company's financial irregularities. While the investigation unfolded, I focused on rebuilding my life. I launched a small business consultancy specializing in financial systems for startups. It wasn't easy, but word spread fast. Adelia, your system has saved us thousands already. One of my first clients told me the appreciation rekindling the confidence I'd almost forgotten. Months passed, and news of the investigation into Victor's company began making waves. Over coffee one day, Emma gave me an update. Robert's been shredding documents like crazy, she said with a smirk. And Dad, he's not handling it well. I tried not to relish their downfall, but it was hard. They had made their choices, and now they had to face the consequences. One evening, as I was locking up my office, I turned and saw Mark. He looked exhausted, dark circles etched under his eyes. Adelia, please, he began, voice strained. Can we talk? I'm sorry. I should have believed you. A pang of hurt cut through me, but I kept it buried. It's too late, Mark. You made your choice. I turned to leave, but he called after me, voice thick with regret. I was wrong. Please give me another chance. I didn't stop. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. The investigation dragged on for months, but finally, the truth came out. Victor and Robert were charged with years of tax evasion, fraud. The news broke like a bombshell. Breaking news: local construction mogul Victor Steele and his nephew Robert Steele indicted on multiple charges of financial fraud. I watched the report, stunned. It was finally over. The next day, Emma called me in tears. Dad's had a heart attack. He's in the hospital, she said, voice trembling. Meanwhile, the company teetered on the brink of bankruptcy under the weight of the penalties. As they fell, my business flourished. I had built a small but dedicated team, and together, we were helping other businesses avoid the very pitfalls that had taken down Victor's empire. A year after that fateful confrontation in the parking lot, I found myself on stage, accepting an award for financial integrity. The lights warmed my face as I held the award, a bittersweet reminder of the journey it had taken to reach this moment. This award is for all the honest, hardworking financial professionals out there, I said into the microphone. Never be afraid to stand up for what's right, even when it feels like the whole world is against you. As I stepped off the stage, my phone buzzed with a news alert: Victor and Robert Steele sentenced in landmark fraud case. A small, satisfied smile tugged at my lips. Justice had been served, and I was finally free to write my own story. Now, here's a question for you. If you were in my shoes, would you have given Mark a second chance? When does betrayal become unforgivable? And is there ever a point where family no longer comes first? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your stories and opinions could help someone else facing the same dilemma. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like it, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing stories of resilience and justice. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, everyone, I'm Margaret, just your average 17-year-old trying to survive senior year in the suburbs of Chicago. But trust me, things are about to get way more complicated. Margaret, honey, have you started on those college applications yet? Grandma Eleanor's voice echoed from the kitchen, breaking my focus from the stack of brochures on my desk. Working on it, Grandma, I called back with a sigh. This is my life now, living with my grandparents, George and Eleanor Thompson, ever since I lost my parents in a car crash when I was little. They're amazing people, really, maybe a little too amazing, if you know what I mean. Suddenly, my phone buzzed, lighting up with my best friend Zoo's face. Hey, debate team superstar. Ready to get crushed at tomorrow's practice, she teased, her grin bright on the screen. I laughed, rolling my eyes. In your dreams, Chen. But seriously, how do you do it? Top grades, debate champ, and you make me look bad in every class. Zoe shrugged, winking. It's a gift. Don't worry, you've got other talents, like, being tall. Gee, thanks. I smirked. Just then, a text from my boyfriend, Trevor, popped up. Good luck on your Stanford app, babe. You've got this. Yo twisted in my stomach. Trevor, the school's basketball hotshot, thought I was Stanford material. If only he knew. Margaret, Mr. Jenkins is on the phone, Grandpa George called out. He wants to discuss your college options. Of course, Mr. Jenkins, our overenthusiastic guidance counselor, probably wanted to push more Ivy League brochures my way. Coming, I shouted, then muttered under my breath, to my doom. As I headed downstairs, I caught a glimpse of my grandparents whispering in the kitchen. But George, what if she doesn't get in? Grandma's voice was barely audible. We promised her parents. Don't worry, Eleanor, Grandpa reassured her. We'll make sure she succeeds. By any means necessary. I froze. By any means necessary. I tried to shake off the strange feeling that crept up my spine, but Alexis Foster's words from earlier that day replayed in my head. Better step up your game, Thompson. Those safety schools won't impress anyone. I gritted my teeth. Alexis was always trying to one-up me. Maybe she was right. Was I really cut out for this? I picked up the phone, ready to talk to Mr. Jenkins, but I couldn't shake the feeling that my life was about to get a whole lot messier. Little did I know, I was about to get tangled in a web of secrets that would turn my world upside down. Later, I walked into the school gym, transformed for the college fair. Banners from prestigious universities hung everywhere, and nervous seniors buzzed around, chatting with recruiters. I spotted Grandma Eleanor waving me over. She and Grandpa George were deep in conversation with a Yale recruiter. There she is, Grandma called out, her smile widening. Our Margaret is quite the achiever, Grandpa boasted. Valedictorian of her class, you know. I froze. Valedictorian? I wasn't even close. Oh, and she founded the debate team, Grandma added, her eyes gleaming with pride. Such a leader, our girl. My mind spun. I only joined the debate team last year. The Yale recruiter looked impressed. Quite a resume, and I understand you organize a citywide animal adoption event. I opened my mouth, stunned, but Grandpa jumped in before I could speak. Yes, hundreds of animals found homes because of her. I felt sick. The truth was, I'd volunteered at one adoption event, walking dogs for a couple of hours. Oh, and don't forget her internships and research projects. Grandma beamed. Internships. Research projects. I stammered an excuse and ducked into a quiet corner. My phone buzzed with a text from Zoe. Where are you? Zoe texted. These college folks are looking for the famous Margaret Thompson. Famous. Oh no. Later that night, I couldn't hold back. I confronted my grandparents in the living room. What were you thinking? I demanded. Those were all lies. Grandma gave me a confused look. Lies? We were just embellishing a little. Everyone does it, dear. Embellishing. I echoed, incredulous. You said I was valedictorian. Grandpa waved his hand dismissively. Details, details. We're just trying to help you get ahead. Do you have any idea how competitive it is out there? But it's wrong. It's fraud. I shot back. Grandpa's face turned stern. Listen here, young lady. We sacrificed everything to give you a good life after your parents died. Is it so wrong to want the best for you? I felt the pang of guilt, but I couldn't let it go. But this isn't right. It feels like we're building a life that's not even mine. No buts, Grandma interrupted. This is how the world works, Margaret. You need every advantage you can get. The next day at school, I pulled Zoe and Trevor aside at lunch, my stomach twisting. Guys, I need to talk to you. It's serious. I explained everything from the valedictorian lie to the made-up accomplishments. Zoe's eyes widened in shock. That's messed up, Margaret. You've got to come clean before this gets worse. Trevor shrugged. I don't know. Maybe your grandparents have a point. College admissions are cutthroat. Why not use every advantage? Are you serious? Zoe shot him a glare. It's lying. It's playing the game, Trevor argued. Everyone exaggerates on applications. Not like this, I said, feeling the pressure building. This is way beyond exaggeration. So, what are you going to do? Zoe asked gently. I don't know, I admitted, but I have a really bad feeling about this. Little did I know, things were about to get much, much worse. The lies were starting to snowball, and my life was spinning out of control. One morning, I opened the mail to find an official-looking envelope. Congratulations, You've been invited to speak at the National Youth Leadership Conference. I nearly choked on my cereal. Grandma, what is this? She beamed. Oh, isn't it wonderful? I may have mentioned your achievements to a few people. Before I could respond, my phone rang. It was the local newspaper. Miss Thompson, we'd love to do a feature on your animal shelter work. Your story is truly inspiring. I stammered through the call, making vague promises to get back to them. The moment I hung up, another call came in, a college recruiter. Margaret, we were blown away by your application. Could we schedule an interview? It was relentless. Every day brought more lives to uphold, more stories to remember. My grades started slipping as I spent more time dodging questions than studying. One day, Mr. Jenkins cornered me in the hallway, his face concerned. Margaret, I'm confused. Your actual record doesn't match all these accolades you're receiving. What's going on? I mumbled some excuse and practically ran out of the hall. Trevor caught up with me later, his brow furrowed. Margaret, what's up with you lately? You're always distracted, always making excuses. I'm just stressed about college stuff, I said weakly. He shook his head. It's more than that. I feel like I don't even know you anymore. Maybe we should take a break. I watched him walk away, straight toward Alexis Foster. A few days later, Alexis cornered me at my locker. Her smug smile said it all. I know what you've been up to, Thompson. All those fake accomplishments. I've got proof. My blood ran cold. What are you talking about? She smirked. Drop out of the running for the Mitchell Scholarship or I'll expose everything. At home, my grandparents were in full fantasy mode, chatting with neighbors. Did we tell you about our dear friend, the governor? Grandpa was saying with a smile. He's always asking for our advice. I couldn't take it anymore. I retreated to my room, tempted to just give in. What was the point of fighting? But then I saw Zu's disappointed face when she was passed over for a leadership position in the debate club, a role she truly deserved but missed out on because of my inflated reputation. That's when I knew I couldn't keep living this lie. It was time to come clean and no matter the consequences. I spent the next week gathering every piece of evidence I needed. My real transcripts, records of my actual volunteer hours, everything. Then, I waited until my grandparents were in the kitchen, brainstorming for my Harvard interview. We'll need to step up our game, Grandma was saying. Don't worry, Grandpa replied. We could say she interned at the White House. I hit record on my phone, capturing every word. The next day, I scheduled a meeting with Mr. Jenkins and the college recruiters who'd been hounding me. My hands shook as I walked into the conference room. Thank you all for coming, I began, my voice trembling. I have a confession to make. I played the recording, showed them my real records, and explained everything. When I finished, the room fell silent. Mr. Jenkins was the first to speak. Margaret, I don't know what to say. This is a serious ethical breach. One of the recruiters nodded but then added, it is, but coming forward like this, that takes real courage. The fallout was intense. My grandparents faced social ostracism and there was talk of possible legal trouble. I couldn't bear to face them, so I moved in with Sue's family, who welcomed me with open arms. Alexis tried to expose my story, but it backfired when her own unethical behavior came to light in the process. Trevor reached out, apologetic. Margaret, I'm sorry I doubted you. Can we start over? I shook my head. I'm sorry, Trevor, but right now, I need to focus on myself. In the months that followed, I dedicated myself to rebuilding my life on genuine accomplishments. I started a support group for students dealing with ethical pressures, doubled down on my schoolwork, and even secured a real internship at an animal shelter. When graduation day came, I wasn't valedictorian, but as I stood there in my cap and gown, I felt something far better, pride in my real achievements and excitement for the next chapter. Zoe grinned at me from the audience, and I smiled back. This time, it was going to be my real story. Margaret's journey from deception to redemption raises a question for all of us. How far would you go to achieve your dreams? If you were in her shoes, would you have come clean or kept the deception alive for a shot at a prestigious college? This isn't just about college admissions, it's about the ethical choices we face every day. Is there a point where the ends justify the means, or is honesty always the best policy? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever felt pressure to exaggerate or bend the truth? How did you handle it? Your insights might just help someone else wrestling with a similar dilemma. If Margaret's story resonated with you, hit that like button to help more people find it. And if you want to dive into more stories that challenge our values and make us think, consider subscribing. Integrity is one of your most valuable assets. Protect it, and don't be afraid to stand up for what's right, even when it's hard. So, what would you have done in Margaret's place? Let us know in the comments. Hey there, I'm Mia, 28, and currently stuck living with my in-laws. My husband John is working overseas, busting his ass to support us. Sounds like a cushy setup, right? Think again. Welcome to my personal hell. It's another day of scraping by. I'm in the kitchen trying to turn practically nothing into breakfast. Linda, do we have any eggs left? I call out to my mother-in-law. I don't think so, dear, she replies, voice barely above a whisper. Robert hasn't given me money for groceries yet. Later, I'm outside hanging laundry when my neighbor Sandra leans over the fence. Hey Mia, you okay? You're looking pretty stressed. I force a smile. Just the usual, trying to stretch $1 into 100. Sandra frowns. But doesn't John send you guys money? He's making good money overseas, isn't he? Yeah, he does, but I'm cut off by the sound of my phone. It's John, I answer, trying to keep my tone cheerful. Hey babe. Mia, what's going on? I just sent over $5,000 last week, and you're already asking for more. Where's all the money going? I freeze, my mind racing. $5,000? I've seen maybe $100 tops. John, I don't know what you're talking about. We're barely scraping by here. That's impossible. Dad's handling the finances. He wouldn't. He sighs. Look, I've got to go. We'll talk later. As I hang up, a chill runs through me. Something's very wrong, and I'm starting to realize just how deep this rabbit hole goes. But one thing's for sure, I'm going to get to the bottom of it, no matter what it takes. After that call, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously off. $5,000. Where was all that money going? That night, while Robert was passed out drunk and Linda was glued to her soaps, I snuck into their bedroom. My heart pounded so hard, I thought it would burst. I rifled through the drawers, looking for any hint about our finances. Bingo! I found a stack of bank statements hidden in a false bottom drawer of Robert's desk. My hands shook as I flipped through them. The numbers didn't lie. Robert had been pocketing most of John's money for months. The next day, I confronted Linda. You knew, didn't you? I hissed, thrusting the statements in her face. She burst into tears. I'm so sorry, Mia. Robert, he has a gambling problem. He said he'd stop, but she trailed off, face crumpling. He threatened to leave me if I told anyone. I was scared. My anger simmered, but I softened just a little. Where does he gamble? There's this underground casino. He goes almost every night. That night, I followed Robert. Sure enough, he headed straight to a seedy building downtown. Through the window, I watched him blow through thousands in minutes. Back home, I dug deeper, finding a stash of checks from John, all cashed by Robert. The bastard had even been intercepting our mail. I was seeing red. I stormed into the living room where Robert was slouched in front of the TV. You thieving! I screamed, hurling the evidence at him. Robert's face twisted from shock to rage in an instant. Listen here, you ungrateful little fool, he snarled. You breathe a word of this to Sean, and I'll make sure he never believes you. Who do you think he'll trust? His loving father or his gold-digging wife? Try me, old man. Your days of leeching off us are over. I ran to my room, slamming the door and locking it. My hands shook as I dialed John. Babe, what's wrong? He asked, his voice full of concern. John, listen to me. Your father's been stealing the money you've been sending. He's gambling it all away. There was a long silence. Ma, that's a serious accusation. Are you sure? My heart sank. He didn't believe me. John, I have proof. Bank statements, cash checks. Whoa, slow down. I'm sure there's just been some misunderstanding. Dad wouldn't. John, please, you have to trust me, I pleaded. But suddenly, a loud bang rattled my door. Robert's voice boomed from the hallway. Open this door, you little snake. I'll teach you to go behind my back. Mia, what's going on? John's voice crackled through the phone. I have to go, John. Just be careful who you trust. I love you. I hung up, my mind racing as Robert continued pounding on the door, splintering the wood. I was trapped, alone with a raging, drunken thief on the other side. But one thing was clear, this was war and I wasn't about to go down without a fight. The next morning, I woke up with a fire in my gut. Robert might think he'd scared me into submission, but he had no idea who he was messing with. I texted Sandra, who showed up right away. We spent hours plotting, fueled by coffee and simmering rage. By sunset, we had a plan that would make Ocean's 11 look like child's play. Step 1. Get Sean on board. I called him, keeping my voice steady. Babe, I know you're struggling to believe me, but I'm begging you, send the next payment to a new account. One that only I can access. There was a long pause. Okay, Mia, I trust you. Relief washed over me. Now came the hard part. Later, I cornered Robert in the kitchen. I'm sorry about last night, I murmured, forcing the hint of shame into my tone. I was stressed and jumped to conclusions. It won't happen again. Robert narrowed his eyes, then gave a curt nod. See that it doesn't. Over the next few weeks, I played the perfect daughter-in-law. I cooked Robert's favorite meals, laughed at his awful jokes, and never mentioned money. Meanwhile, I was gathering evidence. I planted hidden cameras to catch him counting stolen cash, recorded his shady calls to bookies on a burner phone, and even managed to swipe his old tax returns, proving years of fraud. Then, out of the blue, John's cousin Tom showed up. Surprise visit, he said with a grin. But I caught the glint in his eye. John had sent backup. That night, Tom and I huddled in my room, whispering. I've got an idea, he said, his voice low. But it's risky. The plan was brilliant. Dangerous, but brilliant. The next day, I burst into the house, waving a lottery ticket. Oh my God, I won? I freaking won, I screamed. Robert's eyes lit up, his gaze like a shark catching the scent of blood. Won what, dear? The lottery? One of those scratch-offs. $5 million. I watched the dollar signs practically sparkle in his eyes. That's wonderful, Mia. We should celebrate. Over the next few days, Robert was sickeningly sweet. He offered to help me claim the winnings, invest the money wisely. I played along, pretending to consider his offers. Finally, the big day arrived. Tom had mocked up fake lottery paperwork, and I made a big show of signing it at the kitchen table. You know, Robert said, his voice dripping with insincerity, as head of the household, I think it's best if I hold on to that ticket for safekeeping. I hesitated, then nodded. Okay, I guess that makes sense. The moment Robert's hand touched the paper, the front door burst open. John stormed in, his face a mask of fury. Behind him was a man in a suit, a real lawyer Tom had convinced to play along. Dad, what the hell are you doing? John roared. Robert stammered, caught red-handed. I was just what? Stealing from Maya, like you've been stealing from me. The lawyer stepped forward. Mr. Thompson, we have evidence of your fraudulent activities, spanning years. I suggest you come with us quietly. Robert's face went pale. In a last desperate move, he lunged for the back door. But Tom was there, blocking Robert's escape. As the officer led a cursing, shoveling Robert away, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. John pulled me into a tight embrace. I'm so sorry I didn't believe you at first. It's okay, I murmured. It's over now. But as I watched Robert being driven away, I knew this was just the beginning. The real challenge, rebuilding our lives and our trust, was still to come. The next few days were a whirlwind. With Robert gone, the house felt like a powder keg ready to explode. John was shell-shocked, Linda was a wreck, and I found myself in the middle, trying to hold everything together. Then one afternoon, Joe's phone rang. It was the police station. Robert's gambling debts had finally caught up with him, and he owed some dangerous people more than just money. He's going away for a long time, Don said, hanging up. He looked at me, his eyes full of regret. Maya, I can't believe what you went through. I should have listened to you sooner. I shook my head. What matters is that you know the truth now. In the weeks that followed, we faced the harsh reality of Robert's mess. The house was mortgaged to the hilt, bank accounts were drained, and debt collectors were circling. It was like waking from a nightmare only to find the monsters were still real. In the end, we packed up what little we had and said goodbye to Linda, who was going to stay with her sister to start rebuilding her own life. As for Sean and me, we hit the road, seeking a fresh start. 6 months later, life looked entirely different. John found a job stateside, and I finally started my own small business, something I dreamed of but never had the confidence to pursue. Our new apartment was small, but it was ours. No more walking on eggshells, no more lies. Just us, building the life we deserved. We'd occasionally hear news about Robert. He was serving time, and from what we heard, he wasn't doing well. Part of me felt sorry for him, but a bigger part knew he was finally facing the consequences of his actions. One evening, as Sean and I sat on our tiny balcony, watching the sunset, he turned to me. "You know, I never thanked you properly." "For what?" I asked, leaning into him. "For being strong enough to stand up to my father. For not giving up on us. You saved this family, Mia." I took his hand, feeling the sense of peace for the first time in years. We saved each other. As the sky turned pink and gold, I thought about how far we'd come, from a house built on lies to a home grounded in trust and love. It hadn't been easy, and there would still be tough days ahead, but we faced them together, stronger than ever. Robert had tried to tear us apart, but in the end, his betrayal only brought us closer. We'd walk through fire and come out the other side, scared but unbroken. And now we were unstoppable. Asterisk, asterisk. Now, a question for you. Asterisk, asterisk. If you were in Maya's shoes, would you have forgiven Linda for staying silent about Robert's theft? Or was her fear a justifiable reason to keep quiet? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hi, I'm Elizabeth. Our family has always been tightly knit, brimming with love and laughter. James, my husband, has been my steadfast support since our college days, and together we've raised our daughter Emma, a bright and inquisitive 8-year-old who is the light of our lives. Her endless questions and playful adventures never cease to amaze us. We've embraced a parenting style that nurtures curiosity and learning through experience, which is why Emma's spirited nature brings us such joy. It's not uncommon to find her rummaging through old boxes or exploring the backyard, her imagination soaring as high as the sky. In contrast, my relationship with my mother-in-law, Carol, has always been somewhat strained yet manageable. She has a stern disposition, something James warned me about early in our marriage. Despite her strict demeanor, I never viewed Carol as a threat. I saw her more as a product of her upbringing, tough around the edges. One sunny afternoon, we decided to visit Carol at her home. She had been living alone since James' father passed away, and though she'd never admit it, I could sense that she enjoyed our company, especially Emma's. As we drove over, the car was filled with Emma's excited chatter about showing Carol a bird's nest she found in our garden. "Mommy, do you think she's ever seen a blue egg before?" Emma chirped from the back seat. "I bet she has, but she'll love hearing all about it from you," I replied, glancing at James, who shared a warm smile with me through the rearview mirror. Upon arriving at Carol's, the atmosphere was warm and inviting. The faint scent of cinnamon wafted through the air, and a gentle classical melody played in the background. Carol greeted us at the door with a stiff smile, stepping aside to let us in. Come in, come in. It's so good to see you all," she said, her tone formal, but softened by her hidden affection for Emma. As the afternoon progressed, James and I helped Carol with some chores while Emma played quietly in the living room. I was in the kitchen, organizing some groceries we had brought for Carol, when the peaceful ambience shattered. "Emma, what do you think you're doing?" Carol's sharp voice pierced the calm, causing James and me to exchange worried glances. My heart raced as I rushed into the living room, only to find a scene I could never have anticipated. Carol loomed over a cowering Emma, her face twisted in anger. "What's going on here?" I demanded, stepping protectively between Carol and my daughter, my voice firm yet striving for calm. "Your daughter was stealing from me," Carol exclaimed, brandishing a few crumpled bills, her eyes blazing with fury. "It was just lying there, Mommy. I was going to play shop with it." Emma's small voice trembled, her innocent explanation breaking my heart. "Carol, she's just a child. She didn't understand." I tried to reason, but Carol remained unyielding, her expression one of betrayal and rage. After pulling Emma away from the distressing scene, I didn't waste a moment. Her cries subsided to soft whimpers, her small body clinging to me as if I were her only safe haven. James, his face a mask of confusion and anger, silently followed us out, the door closing behind us with a finality that echoed the sinking feeling in my gut. The drive to the hospital was fraught with tension and silence, broken only by Emma's soft sniffling from the back seat. I kept glancing at her through the rearview mirror, noting her pale face and red-rimmed eyes. At the hospital, the reality of the situation began to settle in. Doctors examined Emma and confirmed that while she had no broken bones, the bruises and emotional trauma were significant. As I sat in the stark white of the hospital room, watching nurses gently tend to Emma, I felt a tumult of fury and helplessness. How could Carol, a woman I had respected, if cautiously, react so violently to a child's innocent mistake? The question churned in my mind, growing heavier with each passing moment. Once Emma was settled and resting, James and I stepped into the hallway. The look on his face told me James looked at me, his face mirroring my own turmoil, shock, pain, and a deep, conflicted sadness. Elizabeth, I don't even know what to say. I've never seen my mother act like that. We have to do something, James. We can't just let this go. My voice trembled, but I forced it to stay steady. She hurt Emma. She could have caused serious harm over something so trivial. James ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration and despair. I know, you're right. Whatever you think is best, I'll support you. What? What are you considering? I took a deep breath, the weight of the decision pressing down on me. I'm going to file a police report. This isn't just about today, it's about Emma's safety in the future. Your mother crossed the line. Dave's face hardened, his jaw set with a grim resolve. Do it. I'll stand by you. Emma comes first. And for now, I think we need to cut ties with my mother until we can understand why this happened and make sure it never does again. With his support, I called the police from the hospital. Speaking to an officer felt surreal, like I was recounting a nightmare that couldn't possibly be my reality. But the officer's calm, steady responses provided a small comfort. They took my report seriously and assured us that they would follow up. Returning to Emma's side, I held her hand, silently promising to protect her from any future harm. As she slept, her face still streaked with dried tears, my resolve solidified. No matter the fallout, protecting my daughter was my most important duty. Carol's behavior had exposed a dangerous side, and severing ties, no matter how painful for James, was the only way forward. When we left the hospital that night, everything felt changed. What was once a tentative truce with Carol had transformed into a decisive break, one made for Emma's sake and for the sake of our family. In the days that followed, we were swept into a whirlwind of legal consultations and emotional upheaval. James and I were firm in our decision. Carol had to face the consequences of her actions. We sought advice from a family lawyer determined to obtain a restraining order to keep Carol away from Emma. The process was grueling, filled with endless paperwork and the emotional toll of retelling the incident again and again. Yet Emma's recovery remained our top priority. Her usual bright spark seemed dimmed, her laughter quieter. We arranged for her to see a child psychologist to help her process the trauma. The first few sessions were difficult. Emma was withdrawn, reluctant to talk about what had happened. But gradually, she opened up, using drawings and dolls to express her feelings, a technique her therapist suggested to gently guide her through the trauma. James and I also sought counseling, learning how to support Emma and work through our own guilt and anger. Through these sessions, we found a deeper appreciation for our bond. No matter how strained things became, we faced everything together as a united front for Emma. The community's reaction was unexpectedly supportive. Friends and neighbors offered kind words, delivered meals, and even organized playdates to help Emma feel surrounded by love. Their encouragement reassured us that we had made the right decision. Conversely, Carol faced a different kind of response. News of her actions spread quickly, shocking those who had known her for years. Some tried to reach out, hoping there was a misunderstanding. But many distanced themselves, unwilling to associate with someone capable of such harm to a child. This social isolation seemed to impact Carol deeply, a painful consequence, yet, in our eyes, a justified one. As Emma began to regain her cheerful spirit, James and I focused on reinforcing our home as a place of safety and love. We updated security measures, talked openly with Emma about emotions and safety, and spent more quality time together as a family. Weekend outings, movie nights, and cooking together became our rituals to reclaim the peace that had been disrupted. Despite the ongoing challenges, through every action, every protective measure we took, both legally and emotionally, the fabric of our family mended. Emma slowly found her sense of safety again, and laughter began to echo through our home once more. One sunny afternoon, as James and I watched her playing in the backyard, her giggles carried on the breeze. We exchanged a look of profound relief and gratitude. Our little girl was coming back to us, her resilience shining through like a testament to the strength of our family in the face of hardship. Our home, once just a place to live, had become a true sanctuary. James and I grew even more vigilant, not out of fear, but from a renewed commitment to nurture and protect the peace we had fought so hard to restore. It became our mission to ensure Emma felt not just safe, but deeply loved and valued. We decorated her room with bright paintings she chose herself, and her space became a gathering place for friends, filling the house with joyful noise and youthful energy. On a sunny Saturday, during our weekly family picnic at the park, I watched Emma chase butterflies with a friend. Her laughter, pure and unrestrained, was a sound I'd missed dearly during those dark months. James caught my eye from where he was setting up a frisbee game, his smile reflecting the blue of the sky and echoing my own feelings of contentment and relief. Just then, Emma ran up to us, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Look, Mommy, look what I found," she exclaimed, holding up a small, oddly shaped rock. Her curiosity had returned, and each discovery was a treasure. "It looks like it's from the moon," I said, embracing her enthusiasm, thrilled to see her spirit so bright again. As the day came to an end and we packed up to leave, Emma hugged me tightly, whispering, "I love you, Mommy. I'm happy." Those simple words filled me with an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. On the drive home, the trees blurring past the window, I reflected on everything we'd been through. Standing up against harm, advocating for Emma, and protecting our family hadn't just changed our immediate circumstances. It had set a standard for how we would face any future adversity. The resilience we had developed, the unity we had forged, it was all a testament to the power of standing firm in one's convictions. Safeguarding one's family from harm, ensuring they feel loved and secure. This was the most vital role we could play. As Emma dozed off in the back seat, her face peaceful and serene, I felt a surge of determination. No challenge was too great, no obstacle too daunting as long as we faced it together. Our journey through darkness had led us back to light, and I was ready, more than ever, to keep that light shining bright for Emma and for all of us. This wasn't just recovery, it was a new beginning, a reaffirmation of what truly mattered: love, safety, and the unbreakable bond of family. What would you have done in a situation where a family member reacted so harshly to a child's innocent mistake? Would you have taken the same steps as Elizabeth and James, or would you have approached it differently? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt stories like this one. Your engagement helps us keep bringing these stories to you. I'm Susie, a 32-year-old fashion designer living the dream in New York City. Right now, I'm sitting in my sleek penthouse, sketching my latest design while my 6-month-old daughter Emma babbles in her playpen. Life's pretty sweet. My husband Mark, a high-powered real estate developer, walks in, grinning from ear to ear. "Babe, guess what? Vogue wants to feature your new line." I practically leap off the couch, nearly spilling my coffee. "Are you serious? This is huge." Mark wraps me in a bear hug, lifting me off my feet. "You deserve it, Susie. You're taking the fashion world by storm." Just then, the doorbell rings. It's Vanessa, Mark's sister, looking as polished as ever. She sweeps over to kiss my cheeks, exclaiming, "Congratulations, darling. I just heard the news and we simply must celebrate." I smile, but there's always something about her that unsettles me. It's subtle, just a look now and then, like she's sizing me up. I push the feeling aside. "Thanks, Vanessa. Coffee?" "Oh, I'd love to, but I actually came to talk to Mark about something." She slips into his office, closing the door behind her. Moments later, I hear Mark's voice rise. "Vanessa, this is the 3rd time this month. I can't keep bailing you out." When Vanessa leaves, her smile seems a little forced and Mark looks stressed. "Everything okay?" I ask. He sighs. "Just Vanessa being Vanessa. Don't worry about it." Later that week, we're at dinner with my best friend, Olivia, and her husband, Jake. Emma's with the sitter, and we're enjoying some adult time. "So, Susie," Olivia teases, "how's life in the lap of luxury?" I laugh. "Oh, the American dream, successful career, amazing husband, beautiful baby, and a sister-in-law who's always around." Jake chuckles. "Ah, the lovely Vanessa, right?" He winks, and Mark shifts uncomfortably. "Vanessa's family. She's just going through a rough patch," he mutters. As we say our goodbyes, Olivia pulls me aside. "You okay? You seemed a bit off tonight." I hesitate. "It's probably nothing. Vanessa's just been around a lot lately, and, I don't know, maybe I'm being paranoid." Olivia squeezes my arm. Trust your gut, honey. Keep your eyes open. The next day, we're at Mark's parents' house for a family dinner. As dessert wraps up, his father, Richard, clears his throat. I have an announcement, he says gravely. I've decided to update my will. Silence falls. Venus's eyes bore into me as Richard continues. I want to ensure my grandchildren are provided for. There will be some significant changes. As we drive home that night, a sense of unease settles over me. What changes? Why do I feel like our perfect life is on the edge of a storm? In the weeks that follow, tension runs high. Venus is around even more, and one afternoon, I overhear her on the phone in our guest room. I'm telling you, Mark deserves better, she's saying, her tone venomous. That gold digger has her claws in deep. My heart pounds. She's talking about me. I confront her, but Vanessa just smiles coolly. Oh, Susie. Just chatting with a friend about a show, she says, her eyes glinting. Her smile never reaches them. At a charity gala, a few nights later, I notice Vanessa whispering to some of our friends, their glances toward me sharp with pity and judgment. Feeling a sudden chill, I turn to Olivia. What's going on? I ask. Olivia's face softens. You haven't heard. Vanessa's been telling people you're cheating on Mark with your fashion photographer. My jaw drops. What? That's insane. I would never. I know, honey, but people are talking. A new sense of dread twists in my stomach. It seems Vanessa's set on tearing my life apart, and I don't know how to stop her. I confronted Mark that night. Did you hear what your sister's been saying about me? He sighed, rubbing his temples. Susie, people gossip. Just ignore it. Ignore it, Mark? She's trying to ruin my reputation. You're overreacting, he said, a hint of impatience in his voice. It's probably just new mom stress talking. I couldn't believe he was brushing it off. A week later, we hosted a family dinner. I was proudly showing off my latest sketches when Vanessa reached for the wine bottle and accidentally spilled red wine all over them. Oh no, she exclaimed, barely concealing a smirk. I'm so clumsy. I clenched my jaw, forcing a smile. It's fine, I have backups. Later, Olivia pulled me aside. Susie, we need to talk. I overheard Vanessa on the phone yesterday. She's planning something big. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? I couldn't catch everything, but she mentioned your designs and sabotage. Be careful, okay? The next day, Richard called a family meeting. We gathered in his study, the air thick with tension. I've made my decision about the will, he announced. I'm leaving a significant portion of my estate to Emma. Venus's face flushed red. What about me? You'll receive a modest sum, but Emma's share will be substantial, Richard replied. Susie and Mark will act as trustees until she's of age. As we left, Vanessa brushed past me, whispering venomously, this isn't over. That night, I tossed and turned, the weight of Vanessa's threat gnawing at me. Mark stirred beside me. What's wrong? I'm worried about Vanessa. She's been acting strange ever since your dad's announcement. He sighed. Susie, please, she's family. Can't you just try to get along? I sat up, frustration simmering. Get along. She's spreading rumors about me, sabotaging my work, and now she's threatening me. Threatening you? Don't you think you're being a bit dramatic? I stared at him, stunned. Why won't you believe me? Let's just get some sleep. Things will look better in the morning. But as I lay there, I knew this wasn't something sleep would fix. Vanessa was on a warpath, and for some reason Mark couldn't, or wouldn't, see it. I realized I was on my own and needed to protect myself and Emma. Over the next few days, unsettling things started happening. Emma's favorite teddy bear kept appearing in strange places, and the nursery window was open twice, despite me remembering to close it. Mark, have you been moving things around in Emma's room? I asked. He looked at me like I'd lost it. No. Why? I don't know. Something just feels wrong. He sighed, exasperated. Susie, you're being paranoid again. That was the last straw. I ordered a set of nanny cams and installed them while Mark was at work. Call me crazy, but I needed peace of mind. A few days later, I checked the footage, and my blood ran cold. There was Vanessa, rifling through her desk drawers, muttering, Where is it? There has to be a copy of the will somewhere. As I fast-forwarded, my heart nearly stopped. Vanessa was leaning over Emma's crib, whispering something. I turned up the volume. You little brat, you're ruining everything. If only you'd never been born. My hands shook as I texted Olivia. You were right. Vanessa's up to something. I need your help. The following weekend, we hosted a family barbecue on our balcony. Emma was in her stroller, giggling at everyone. I stepped inside to grab more drinks when my phone buzzed with a notification from the nanny cam. I checked the feed, and my heart dropped. Vanessa was slowly pushing Emma's stroller toward the balcony's edge, glancing around to ensure no one was watching. I dropped the drinks, my pulse roaring in my ears. "Emma," I screamed, bursting onto the balcony and lunging for the stroller just as it teetered dangerously close to the edge. I grabbed the handle and pulled it back, holding Emma close as she wailed in fright. Vanessa stumbled back, her face a mask of shock and something darker. "What the hell is going on?" Mark shouted, eyes darting between us. I turned to Vanessa, fury making my voice tremble. Tell them what you were about to do." "I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered, feigning innocence. "I was just looking at the view with Emma." "Liar," I screamed, pulling out my phone. "I have it all on video, the snooping, the threats, everything." Mark's face strained as he watched the footage. He turned to her, his expression darkening. "Vanessa, how could you?" Her resolve crumbled, tears streaming down her face. "It's not fair. I'm family too. Why does that little brat get everything?" Richard stepped forward, his voice cutting through the tension. "Because you're not family. Not anymore." As she was led away, sobbing and screaming, Mark turned to me, his eyes full of regret. "Susie, I'm so sorry. I should have believed you." I cradled Emma close, hurt and anger finally catching up with me. "Yeah, you should have." That night, as I checked on Emma for the 100th time, an idea struck. I grabbed my sketchpad and began drawing furiously, losing myself in the designs. By morning, the room was filled with sketches. Mark came in, surprised. "What's all this?" "My new line," I said, smiling. "I'm calling it Guardian Angel. It's about protection, empowerment." I held up one of the sketches. "This one's a baby monitor disguised as a teddy bear. And here's a stroller with built-in safety features. I want to turn this nightmare into something positive." Mark's face softened. "Susie, I know I messed up. Big time. How can I make this right?" I looked at him, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. "We need a fresh start, away from here, away from all these memories." He nodded slowly, determination setting in. "Whatever you need." Soon after, we moved into a new place. Olivia and Jake dropped by to help us settle in, bringing champagne. To new beginnings. Olivia toasted, grinning. "Sweet digs," Jake whistled, looking around. "How's the fashion line coming along?" "It's almost ready," I said, excitement bubbling up. "The show's next month." Mark wrapped an arm around me. "She's going to blow everyone away." For the first time in months, I felt hopeful. The night of the fashion show arrived, and as I peeked out from backstage, I spotted Mark in the front row, Emma perched on his lap. Richard and Olivia sat beside them, pride radiating from their faces. The lights dimmed, and I took a deep breath as the first model stepped onto the runway, showing off a chic coat with hidden safety features. The crowd gasped, appreciative murmurs filling the room. As the final model walked off, I stepped onto the runway. The applause was deafening. Mark rose, Emma clapping in his arms, and I blew them a kiss, my heart swelling. At the after-party, Richard pulled me aside, his expression full of warmth. "Susie, I want you to know how proud I am. You turned tragedy into triumph." I smiled, watching as Mark twirled Emma in his arms. "Sometimes," I said softly, "we all have a guardian angel inside us. We just need a reminder to let it out." As I joined my family on the dance floor, I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, we faced them together, stronger than ever. What about you? If you were in Susie's shoes, would you have forgiven Mark for dubbing you? Or would his initial disbelief have been a deal breaker? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hey, I'm Emily Parker. Life used to be pretty sweet. Mom, Dad, my little brother Jason, and me, the picture-perfect family. Mom's laugh could light up a room, and Dad, well, he was my hero. But everything changed in an instant. It was just a regular Tuesday when Mom collapsed in the kitchen. One moment, she was making her famous lasagna. The next, she was gone. An undiagnosed heart condition, they said, as if giving it a name would somehow make losing her easier. I tried to keep it together for Jason, who was only 15, but I was barely holding on myself. "It's going to be okay, Jace," I tell him, though I didn't believe it. The funeral passed in a blur, my hand gripping his so tightly I was afraid to let go, afraid I'd lose him too. Dad was there, stating stone face. I thought he was holding it together for us. But man, was I wrong. Just 2 weeks after Mom's funeral, Dad brought home someone new. "Kids, I'd like you to meet someone special," he said, as if introducing the new pet, not a whole person. Special? Really? Mom's grave wasn't even cold yet. "Emily, don't be dramatic. Life goes on," he said, cool as ever. Life goes on. Is that what he told himself when he was out meeting Veronica at the wake? When she tried to step in, calling me sweetie, I snapped. "Don't call me sweetie," I said, "and how dare you bring her into Mom's house?" Dad's face flushed red. "That's enough. You will not disrespect me or Veronica in this house. Disrespect." Disrespecting Mom's memory was what he was doing. Then suddenly, I was falling. I didn't even see it coming. 1 second, I was standing at the top of the stairs. The next, I was tumbling down, the world spinning. Pain exploded in my arm and head as I hit the bottom. Through the haze, I heard Veronica's shrill voice. "Robert, what have you done?" Everything after that was a blur. Hospital lights, a concussion, a broken arm, Dad's flimsy excuse about how I lost my balance. Right. Later, that night, lying in bed with my arm throbbing, I overheard them talking in the hallway. "We need to speed things up, Robert," Veronica was saying. "The sooner we're married, the sooner we can handle Emily's situation." My blood went cold. Handle me? This wasn't happening. My dad, the man who taught me to ride a bike and cried at my graduation, was plotting against me with this woman. In that moment, something inside me hardened. If they thought they could push me aside that easily, they had another thing coming. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. Now, 3 months in at my friend Zoo's place, I still wake up in cold sweats. The nightmares are always the same, falling, and Dad's face at the top of the stairs, cold and unrecognizable. "You okay?" Zoo's voice filters through the thin walls of our cramped apartment. "Just peachy," I call back, rubbing my still aching arm. The cast might be off, but the pain lingers, a constant reminder. In the kitchen, Zoe slides a mug of coffee my way. "You know, you could always ask your dad for help with rent," she says. I snort. "Yeah, and I could ask a shark for swimming lessons. No thanks." Later, sorting through Mom's old papers, I find myself wondering how much longer I can keep going like this. But one thing's for sure, I'm not giving up and I'm not going back. As I'm sorting through Mom's old papers, something catches my eye. Her medical records don't add up. My mind races and I call Marcus, our law student friend. "Hey Marcus, can you come over? Bring those legal eagle eyes of yours. Something's off about Mom's death certificate." An hour later, we're sprawled out on Zoo's living room floor, papers everywhere. Marcus points to a section. "Look at this," he says. "Your mom's prescription dosage changed drastically a week before she died." Zoe peers over his shoulder. "Could it be a mistake?" I shake my head. Mom was meticulous about her meds. This doesn't make any sense. We keep digging, poring over bank statements and old emails. The more we pull, the more the threads start unraveling. "Oh my God," Zoe whispers, staring at her laptop. You need to see this." She turns the screen to show me an old company newsletter. There's Dad, his arm around a familiar blonde. The caption reads, "Robert Parker and his secretary Veronica Mills celebrate another record quarter." My stomach twists. They knew each other before Mom died. Marcus frowns, holding up another document. "Emily, these bank transfers, they're not normal. Large sums were going to an offshore account starting months before your mom passed." The pieces start falling into place, forming a picture I don't want to see. Dad and Veronica, an affair, money disappearing, Mom's sudden death. "I need to talk to Jason," I say, grabbing my phone. An hour later, I'm across from my little brother in a dingy diner. He looks tired, older than his 15 years. "Jace, I need you to be honest with me. Have you noticed anything weird at home?" He fidgets with his napkin. Define weird. "Dad and Veronica. The way they act. Anything strange about the night Mom died?" Jason goes pale. I wasn't supposed to say anything." "Jason, please. If you know something." He takes a shaky breath. "The night before Mom died, I heard them fighting. Dad and Veronica. They didn't know I was home." My heart races. What were they saying? "Something about Mom's pills. Veronica was mad, saying it was too risky. Dad said they had no choice, that Mom was going to ruin everything. The world tilts. I grip the table to steady myself. Emily, Jason's voice sounds far away, confused. How do I tell him that our father might be a murderer? I don't know yet, Jace, I say, reaching for his hand. But I promise I'm going to find out. I'm going to make this right. The next few weeks are a blur of late nights, coffee, and piecing together a puzzle I never wanted to solve. Zoe, Marcus, and I form a makeshift detective team, the walls of our living room covered in sticky notes and string like some crime show. One night, Marcus pulls me aside. Emily, look at this, he says, voice tight. He's hunched over his laptop, scrolling through financial records. Your dad's been siphoning money from his company for years. We're talking millions. Zoe lets out a low whistle. Guess that explains the beach house. I feel sick. Why would Dad risk everything? Greed? Marcus shrugs. Or maybe he needed to keep Veronica happy. The more we dig, the worse it gets. Offshore accounts, fake charities, a web of lies so complex it makes my head spin. And then the final piece falls into place. It's an email from Mom to her lawyer, dated just days before she died. My hands shake as I read it aloud. I've discovered Robert's affair and the extent of his embezzlement. I plan to confront him tomorrow and file for divorce. If anything happens to me, I can't finish. Zoe wraps her arms around me as I break down. Marcus says gently, we need to consider the possibility that your dad killed her. I choke out, oh God, he killed her. The next day, we're sorting through Mom's old medical records when my phone buzzes. It's Dad. I hesitate before answering. Emily, we need to talk, he says, his voice cold, unrecognizable. We agree to meet at a cafe near his office. As soon as I sit down, he cuts straight to it. Whatever you think you're doing, it needs to stop. I swallow, keeping my voice steady. I don't know what you're talking about. He leans in, his eyes hard. Don't play dumb. I know you've been digging around, asking questions. It stops now, or there will be consequences. Are you threatening me? I'm warning you. Keep this up, and Jason's college fund disappears. And maybe I'll have to mention your mental health issues. Grief can do funny things to the mind, after all. I feel like I've been slapped. You wouldn't dare. Try me. He stands, smirking. Be smart, Emily. For once in your life. As he walks away, I spot Veronica waiting by his car, fidgeting nervously. Our eyes meet for a moment, and I see it. Fear, guilt. That night, I lie awake, replaying Dad's threats, Mom's face, imagining her last moments. By morning, I've made a decision. I'm going to the board, I tell Zoe and Marcus over breakfast. Zoe nearly chokes on her toast. Are you sure? That's a big step. I nod. It's time. We have enough evidence. They need to know who's really running their company. Marcus looks at me, worry etched across his face. Emily, this could backfire. Your dad's powerful. He could make your life hell. He already has, I reply, my voice steady and hard. I'm done being scared, done letting him win. I spend the next hour on the phone, finally reaching the board secretary. I need to speak with the board immediately, I tell her, my heart pounding. It's about Robert Parker, and it can't wait. As I hang up, a strange mix of terror and determination settles over me. This is it, the point of no return. Whatever happens next, there's no going back. But as I think of Mom, of Jason, and of everything we've lost, I know this is the right choice. The next day, I turn to Zoe and Marcus. The meeting's set for tomorrow. Let's get ready to blow this whole thing wide open. My hands are shaking as we walk into the boardroom. Zoe squeezes my arm, and Marcus gives me a reassuring nod. The board members stare at us with expressions of curiosity and impatience. Miss Parker, the chairman says, you have our attention. What is this about? Take a deep breath and begin, laying everything out. The embezzlement, the affair, the suspicious circumstances surrounding Mom's death. With each revelation, the tension in the room deepens. These bank statements clearly show the money trail, Marcus explains, pointing to a slide. One board member leans forward, frowning. Are you suggesting Mr. Parker killed his wife? We're presenting evidence of financial crimes and a pattern of deception, I say carefully. My mother's death occurred under highly suspicious circumstances. By the time we finish, the room is in an uproar. The chairman stands, his face grim. Miss Parker, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Robert Parker will be suspended immediately, and we'll launch a full investigation. As we leave, my phone explodes with notifications. The story's breaking, with Dad's face plastered across news sites. The words fraud and scandal are everywhere. In the days that follow, it's like watching a house of cards collapse. Dad's friends turn their backs, his country club membership is revoked, and even Veronica bails, fleeing to her sister's place in Florida. Jason calls me, his voice shaky. Can I come stay with you? I can't be in this house anymore. Of course, Jace. I'm coming to get you right now. When the police get involved, they dig deeper than we ever could. They can't prove Dad murdered Mom, but the evidence of financial crimes is overwhelming. I watch from Zoo's apartment as they lead him away in handcuffs, his face ashen. Months pass, and I pour myself into writing, transforming our ordeal into a book. It's painful to relive it all, but it's also cathartic. I start speaking at support groups for survivors of abuse and fraud, slowly rebuilding my life. Then, on a crisp fall morning, I get the call. Dad has been sentenced to 15 years, and Veronica's facing charges too. It's finally over. That night, Jason, Zoe, Marcus, and I sit on the roof of our building, city lights twinkling below us, filling us with hope. To Mom, Jason says, raising his soda can. To justice, adds Marcus. To new beginnings, chimes Zoe. I look around at them, my true family, and feel warmth like I haven't felt in years. To healing, I say softly. As we sit there, I think about the long road ahead. The scars are deep and they'll always be a part of me. But for the first time in a long time, I'm not afraid of the future. I'm ready for it. I look up at the stars, imagining Mom smiling down on us. We did it, I whisper. We made it right. Tomorrow, I'll wake up and keep rebuilding, keep writing, keep speaking out. But tonight, surrounded by love and free from the shadows of betrayal, I allow myself simply to be. The wounds of the past are healing, making way for a future brighter than I ever dared to imagine.